Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. This video is gonna be about how to actually get better at English as a non-native speaker. I will be putting a lot of things into the perspective of a native Malay speaker, but I do believe this perspective is relatable to speakers of other languages as well. So think about it like this. You're a native Malay speaker and you are fluent in Malay, and your Malay language flows like water. BM tu keluar macam air. Now why is that? How did that happen? Let's retrace our steps. You were probably born into a Malay speaking family and therefore spoken to in Malay even before you yourself could speak. And when you eventually did start to speak, you spoke in Malay. And then with time and everyday usage of the Malay language, here you are today. Did you one day actually sit down and read through a book about tata bahasa or spend 2 hours a day just memorizing kosakata? Chances of those happening very low. So how did you get here? How did you get so fluent in Malay? It was the consistent practice. I personally grew up in a bilingual environment, and so I was actively using, and I still do actively use, both the Malay and English language in everyday conversation. It's the active everyday use of a language that becomes your practice for that language. And that active practice plus time plus consistency, that is what led to gradual improvement. And those are keys number 1 and 2, active practice and consistency. Active practice or active usage means two-way interaction. You spoke the language, but you also heard it. And that cycle, that two-way communication, can be perceived as constant feedback. So that is what is meant by active practice. If you only ever heard the language being spoken and you never actually spoke Malay yourself, I would argue that the chances of you being this fluent in Malay would be a lot slimmer. And then there's key number 2, consistency. Did a day ever go by where you did not use the Malay language at all? I highly doubt it. If you want to progress in a language, then active practice has to come side by side with consistency. And then there's key number 3, time. At what age did you start to properly speak conversational Malay? I'm talking flawless grammar, fluent speech, and good vocabulary. I feel like the average would be around age 6 or 7. If you meet the average 6 and 7-year-old, then they would probably sound like they just started speaking Malay properly. For some people, of course, it may be earlier, for some it may be later. But my point is, it takes around 6 or 7 years to actually start sounding fluent in a language. So putting these 3 keys together, we get this sort of recipe on how to become fluent in English if you're not a native speaker. Number 1, active practice. Engage all your senses in the process of learning English. Talk to yourself, talk to someone else, use it in text messages. And also, this is very important, consume media in English. Newspapers, books, TV shows, etc. Here's a quick tip. If we look at our perspective from earlier, a child growing up in a Malay-speaking environment would be surrounded by people and media who are fluent in Malay. And as this child grows up, they would be interacting and using the Malay language with people who are more knowledgeable. And that applies to learning English as well. Find friends, people, anyone really who can interact with you in English on a daily basis. You have the ability to create that English-speaking environment for yourself, that environment that would allow the child, yourself, to learn English. Number 2, consistency. Make sure that not a day goes by where you don't use the English language. Active use and everyday use have to go hand in hand. And number 3, time. Be patient with yourself. It is undeniably in human nature that we want instant gratification. No matter how big the problem is, we want quick solutions. But learning a language, getting better at a language, isn't an overnight thing. Heck, it's not even a 1 month or a 1 year thing. It takes years of practice, dedication, and consistency and patience to actually reach a certain level of fluency. So don't fret if after the first 12 months of your consistent practice, you still sound like a babbling baby. Because if we look at the perspective we had earlier, a 1-year-old child is still not really able to speak properly in any language. So give yourself time, be patient with yourself, and with the right amount of dedication and practice, changes will come, inshallah. And that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was truly helpful to anyone out there who's seeking to improve their English. I'll see you all in the next video, inshallah. So thanks again, and goodbye for now.